How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. So it's nearly the end of the year and what an absolute shit show it's been. To celebrate this monster of a year, we're looking back at some of the scariest clips that have come out in 2020. So sit back, relax and enjoy. Being buried alive has been a common fear for centuries. The dread of premature burial was so prevalent in the 18th and 19th centuries that many people were buried in safety coffins. These coffins were built so that a string could be threaded through the top of the coffin. One end of the string was attached to the corpse's finger, and the other end to a bell suspended above the grave. This would allow the interred person to ring the bell if they woke up in their own grave, alerting nearby people that they were still alive. The following footage featured on the Daily Mail's website seems to prove a fear of premature burial is perfectly justified even today. The video shows terrifying footage of a burial service in Indonesia. In the short clip, a group of mourners stands around an open grave. Down in the dirt, a body's being interred in a casket fitted with a glass panel, allowing mourners to see inside. At a telling moment in the service, the priest recites a passage from the Bible reading, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, he will live even though he is dead." As he speaks these words, a hand seems to reach towards the glass panel from inside the coffin. A moment later, the hand appears to wave at the mourners standing beside the grave. Some viewers believe that the movement was most likely caused by a rodent trapped inside the coffin. Others have cited scientific evidence of corpses moving after death because of post-mortem muscle spasms. However, other viewers insist that the movement of the hand looked far too deliberate to be attributed to a spasm. Could this terrifying footage be documentation of a modern-day premature burial? A lot of people are working and attending school online these days, but meetings and classes don't usually yield scary videos. At least that's what Twitter user Freddy Giza thought. The teacher claimed to be alone in his recently purchased home in Nuevo Leon, Mexico, while teaching the class. Yet the students attending seemed to think that something else was present that day. The teacher is presenting against a blank wall with a doorway just behind his left shoulder. It's this doorway that becomes the center of attention when a pale face seems to peek into the room. The entity appears to be a pale young woman with dark hair. The teacher glances over his shoulder several times but is unable to see the creepy entity. At one point, he closes the door to end the distraction that the strange entity is causing. Towards the end of the video, he moves the camera around the house to show that he's alone except for his dog. Some of the students who watched the video think it was staged, but others are certain that it was a real ghost attending class that day. What do you think that strange face is? An accomplice, a real ghost, or something else entirely? Love to get your thoughts on this one in the comments section below. Abandoned hospitals and other places where the sick and dying meet their ends are popular locations for scary videos. In this exploration by YouTubers Finders Beepers History Seekers, they visit a former care home. According to the stories about the place, it would seem the elderly residents who lived at the facility had a difficult time during their residence there. The facility was reportedly shut down because of widespread accusations of abuse, neglect, and deplorable living conditions. Given the history of the building, it's unsurprising that numerous ghost hunters have found their way to this building.
So this place was eventually shut down for a catalogue of abuse. It was really terrible. Some of the people were classed as being put in cells. The bedrooms were that bad. They were locked away, ignored.
The investigators take their time moving through the building, examining the rundown state of the place, a perfect setting for a ghost hunt.
Like Chainsaw Massacre type horror film, yeah. You can imagine people being locked up down here.
At one point, they find a logbook containing complaints issued by visitors who were horrified by the conditions their relatives were living in.
Arrived, he didn't look suitable to enter the building on account of him having a wild expression in his eyes.
Jesus Christ. How can...
Psychopath coming in.
As they head to the second floor of the building, the investigators are surprised by an unexpected visitor, a shadow figure walking across the top of the stairs.
But yeah, you can see it goes up again. Hey, wait up. Hello?
It only appears for a second before disappearing into the shadows.
See it goes up again. Hey, wait up.
But then, when the men reach the floor where the shadow vanished, they discover that there's nothing but a wall. This indicates that nothing corporeal could have caused the mysterious shadow.
But they went that way, and there's nowhere you can go.
If you slow the footage down, you can indeed see a solid shape moving at the top of the stairs. Could a former resident be lingering in the place where they met their end? Or is it just a homeless person evading detection? Love to get your opinions on this one in the comments section below.
See, it goes up again. Hey, wait up. Hello?
TikToker Noah.vq captured this eerie video. As a security guard on an empty floor of a hospital, he wasn't expecting to see anything weird while on the job late at night. However, this eerie piece of footage seems to show a creepy shadow figure hanging out in one of the empty rooms. This security guard was working the night shift when he thought he heard some strange noises. The hospital where he works is fairly empty, and the floor that he was assigned to was totally deserted. If he was completely alone on the floor, it makes sense that he'd be a little uneasy, hearing unexplained sounds. He quickly takes out his camera to hopefully capture evidence of his mysterious visitor.
Some noise coming up right now. It's kind of freaking me out. So.
He walks down the hallway, slowly peering into each room that he passes. Unfortunately, one of the rooms doesn't look as empty as the others. As he passes the room in question, the camera captures a shadow that appears to be looking out a window. At first, the security guard continues down the hall. When his brain has had time to process what he saw, he slowly returns to the room for another peek. By the time he returns, the shadow is gone. Some people who have seen the video believe it was most likely a hoax with an all-too-human accomplice. However, several security guards have spoken up, insisting that guards rarely get company on their shifts. Others are certain that the footage captured a real shadow creature, a specific type of spirit that lurks in the shadows, tricking witnesses into questioning their own perceptions of reality. Some hypothesize that this is the spirit of someone who died in this very room. Regardless of who the spirit is, its appearance in the video is downright terrifying. Posted to the 444 page on Facebook, this video was shared to us by the owner of the page herself, Shannon Courtright. Shannon explains that the video features her own sister, Robin Pagan, as well as her sister's friend, Katie. As the two were playing a drinking game and filming themselves, the group happened to capture what appears to be a rare supernatural event. Early in the video, Katie points out a cup moving in front of Robin.
That whole cup just moved.
However, as the cup is out of Robin and the camera's view, she immediately dismisses it. After playing the game on camera for several minutes, the pair leave the view of the shot. Moments later, the cup seems to move all on its own. It repeats this motion several times throughout the video. At one point, the curtain slowly shifts by itself. The startling thing about this footage is that Katie moves and flips the cup numerous times while playing the game. The source footage is all one continuous shot. This would make it extremely difficult to hoax the event. There can't be string attached to the cup because it gets flipped several times. There also can't be magnets attached either. It's evident while watching the video that the people aren't aware of this paranormal activity occurring around them. It's not until the video was watched back that they spotted it. Shannon explains that the next day the girls saw that a lamp and lampshade had fallen over and flown across the living room. Even more weirdly, a speaker kept turning on, despite the fact it wasn't plugged in. The final straw for the girls was when something seemed to gently lift Katie's hair into the air. Concerned due to the string of supernatural events, the two went back and watched this video from the previous night, now aware they had started capturing their very own scary ghost videos. The paranormal events of the following day, combined with the odd action seen in this video, were enough to convince the pair that they were host to at least one unexpected guest. With this myriad of odd activities all in a row, one has to wonder just how safe the two could feel while staying in that home. A TikTok user named BetsAnAngel69 shares one of the most compelling TikTok ghost videos of all time. This is actually a series of videos documenting some pretty strange activity. Let's dive into what can only be described as a front yard haunting saga. TikTok user BetsAnAngel69 begins with a video showing what appears to be a figure pacing back and forth in a grassy, wooded patch of land that's across the street from her house. We then get an update the next day. The ghost figure is still pacing. However, this time we can see an outline of a figure much more clearly.
I can't even zoom in any closer.
According to the uploader, whoever or whatever is out there had been walking back and forth non-stop.
You see it? It just walks back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
The woman sharing the video skips ahead to the 5th day of the strange activity. We get some interesting information regarding the sighting in this video. It turns out that the patch of land where the figure can be spotted is actually adjacent to a church building that is located directly across the street from the uploader's house.
That I was explaining.
Again, the creepy shadow figure can be seen pacing back and forth.
Figure? It just walks back and forth every day. All day.
The update we get from the 5th video is that the figure continues to pace back and forth daily. We also learn that BetsAnAngel69 has actually walked over to the area where the figure can be seen pacing, trying to confront it. However, she claims that the figure disappears once you get close to the area. She even promises to record herself making the trek over there in the next video. So what happens? This after dark footage shows the uploader's dog acting up, barking and howling toward the area where the figure paces. The dog is very clearly agitated. In the next video, BetsAnAngel69 actually takes us on a walk over to the grassy area, where a strange figure can be seen pacing. Unfortunately, this proves to be one of the more anticlimactic videos. That's because BetsAnAngel69 gets scared before deciding to return to her house. However, she does point out that you can still see the figure pacing. Things get a little more dramatic after that. The TikTok user shares a few videos where she simply explains her decision to upload videos of the shadow figure to get feedback from friends and family regarding what's going on. She also shares that she initially thought the pacing figure might be a person with a mental illness. However, she eventually began to wonder if something more sinister could be taking place after the figure paced for hours, days, and weeks at a time.
But hours and hours and days, day or night, that's a long time.
She also shares that her husband has agreed to walk over to investigate the situation with her. And that's precisely what we see in the next set of videos. The two decide to walk over to investigate the pacing figure once and for all. However, they get a scare they weren't quite anticipating. They're scared off by a horrifying sound that clearly didn't come from any human source. They make the very smart decision to run away. However, this saga is far from over. We then see a video of a cop car parked in the parking lot of the church. The TikTok user claims that the police are investigating the situation because they're aware that something is going on. However, she declines to show footage of the cops walking over to the area to protect their privacy. For skeptics, this does open up the possibility that the police car was merely parked in the lot for a completely unrelated reason. That's exactly why BetsAnAngel69 posted another video addressing common questions and doubts. First, BetsAnAngel69 answers some questions she had received about what she might be hiding. Some internet users claim that she's blocking those who cast doubt on her experiences. However, her rebuttal is that she's been forced to block some users who have posted her address online. She even claims that Google Maps that highlight the specific location of her home have been posted online.
The few people that I've had to block, they posted my address on social media. Somebody pulled up a Google map of my home.
She does invite people who are already familiar with the area to investigate on their own if they already know where the church is located. In fact, she encourages people to visit the church to try and figure out exactly what's going on. Her only issue is that she doesn't want her address posted publicly. That seems like a reasonable enough justification for deleting some of the comments. So does BetsAnAngel think what she is seeing is a ghost or a human? She reveals she has no clue about what the figure could be. However, she shares her personal opinion, that the family members of whoever the person is need to intervene. That's if it is indeed a human. She's concerned that the person pacing back and forth has been doing so for more than a month without apparently changing clothes or eating. She does think it's possible that it's a homeless person who has taken up residence in the church parking lot. However, the fact that the pacing figure doesn't appear to take breaks to eat, sleep, or use the bathroom causes her to wonder. The saga still isn't over. We get yet another video update from BetsAnAngel69. This time, she's sharing a terrifying experience from the night before. The creepiness started when her dog went crazy at about 11 PM. However, the family went to bed after not being able to hear or see anything out in the yard that could be causing the dog to act up. A peaceful night was not in store. The family was jolted awake somewhere between the hours of 1 AM and 2 AM by the sound of a man screaming. This is where we learn that they actually have security cameras in place around their property. The footage shows a very still, calm night with no intruders in sight.
A male just screaming.
However, there is something very odd on the screen that would have been captured at around 2 AM. A mist appears on the screen.
Because you'll see that. What is that?
BetsAnAngel69 claims it's the exact moment she and her family heard the screaming.
What is that? It's like... And I know it's this moment that it happens because in about a second...
Unfortunately, that's about as far as the saga goes for now. We can only assume that the shadow figure is still out there pacing. Apparently the family is setting up a YouTube channel to document the case more thoroughly, so it's worth keeping an eye out for that. Of course, BetsAnAngel69 can only hope that whoever or whatever is keeping watch from across the street doesn't get bold enough to come so close ever again. Twitter user Conspiration ESP uploaded this terrifying footage captured by CCTV camera. A bizarre figure has visited this residence late one night, and it has viewers seriously questioning their perception of reality. In scary recordings captured from a variety of cameras, we see a creepy person or creature running on all fours around the property. The camera never captures close-ups of the figure, but it appears to be a cross between a human and a dog. The entity moves on all fours like a canine, but when it comes closer to the camera, its body appears to be that of a human. Its skin is hairless and pale, but its head seems to be darker in colour. Because of the appearance of the creature's body, some are apt to believe that it's simply a human running naked through the night on all fours. However, the way it moves seems to rule out that possibility. The human body is built to walk upright, and no human could easily run with such speed and agility on all fours. There are other, eerier possibilities that explain these scary recordings. Perhaps this is a human, but one possessed by some sort of animalistic demon. Another possibility is that the recordings show a lesser-known cryptid called the Dogman. This creature, much like a werewolf, is a cross between a human and a canine. Unlike werewolves, dogmen live permanently in their in-between state. Over the years, there have been numerous sightings of the so-called Dogman. Although witnesses have been terrified by the encounters, none have been harmed by this elusive cryptid. So whatever theory you believe, human, dogman or demon, they're all just as terrifying as each other. Love to get your thoughts on this one in the comments section below. Captured by a man from Maine named Chet Cook and sent to The Sun, this video has effectively stumped paranormal investigators. Cook appears to be driving along a perfectly average stretch of road. However, the footage quickly shows a mysterious black shape scurrying across the street just in front of Cook's car. Not appearing to be corporeal in any way, the substance in Cook's video appears more like a shadow than a person. Cook said he felt a nagging feeling to review the dashcam footage when he got home. While Cook explains he reviewed the footage expecting to see a deer run across the road, he instead saw the strange black shape. Working in IT, Cook had a fairly good idea that it wasn't a camera malfunction that had led to this figure. He was fairly positive he hadn't actually seen anything in front of his car that night. So spooked, Cook sent the footage off to a paranormal team in order to conduct their own investigation. Instead, the crazy dashcam footage stumped the investigative team. They noted an animal wouldn't have appeared so transparent. As for Cook, he explained to the Sun news outlet that those who live in Maine are generally used to creepy sightings, and that there's a reason a lot of Stephen King's stories are based there. So what do you think this strange black mass is? Deer or something more sinister? Love to get your opinion on this one in the comments section below. If we are living in a simulation, TikTok might be the best place to look for proof. This hot new social media app allows users to upload their own videos and set them to music. In this video by TikToker Catherine Gisellum, a group of kids and teens participate in one of the hottest TikTok trends, showing off your amateur dance moves. When the music first starts, all that's visible in the shot is a large field behind a fence. Then the group of kids enter from behind the camera and crisscross across the screen to take their positions. Once they're in formation, they begin their silly dance. On first glance, nothing in the video seems out of the ordinary. However, if you watch closely, you'll see that one of the dancers seems to have appeared out of thin air. The first kids to enter the shot are two girls. They walk closely together, but there's enough space between their arms for us to see that there's no one walking in front of them. However, when a few more kids join the mix, a boy in a blue shirt suddenly pops up in front of the first two girls. If you slow the footage down, you can see the boy in the blue shirt just seems to appear out of thin air. Although the scene is somewhat chaotic, it would have been impossible for him to slip in front of the group without being caught by the camera. So where did this mysterious child come from? Love to get your thoughts on this one in the comments section below. Uploaded by YouTube user Rodri Yoshiaki, this next clip seems to have been captured in a nearly empty hospital. The translated text from the video explains that Rodri thought himself to be alone when he saw the nearby doors open by themselves. Slightly worried but not overly shocked, the healthcare worker gave it some time before he decided to begin filming. The camera holder explains that the doors are automatic, but they require motion for them to be activated. In the video, you can clearly see the door open a number of times with no one around. Rodri then meets up with his work partner. The pair hear the sound of the doors once again opening by themselves. The pair decides to approach the doors, finding it curious that they've stopped opening by themselves upon their approach. They take a look around the room to see if anything might be activating the doors. There's clearly no one there. However, it's at this moment that the very clear sound of a whistle is heard. Again, the room is empty except for the two workers. If you slow the footage down, there is indeed a strange disembodied whistle. Now, clearly not as alone as they thought they were, the uploader has posted the clip to his YouTube channel for viewers to decide for themselves if he truly came into contact with some sort of spirit that day in the hospital. Viewers beware, these freaky clips uploaded to TikTok by user Harry McClary are enough to keep you up all night. The first clip opens in the middle of the night. The uploader is awoken by his Alexa assistant.
A deliberate attempt to contact the spirit of
Alexa seems keen to give the definition of a seance, completely unprompted.
A deliberate attempt to contact the spirit of a deceased person is known as a seance.
Alexa gives a creepy and unnatural laugh once she's done. She then maniacally tells the uploader she has a skill he might like.
I have a skill you might like.
While it's not out of the ordinary for the assistant to suggest a set of actions, it's odd to do so unprompted. Laughing still, the door to the bedroom begins swinging open and closed as the colours change rapidly.
Wanna try it?
The unit continues to terrorise the uploader as the short clip ends. The second clip begins with a knocking sound coming from the basement. A dog can also be heard barking in the background. Clearly scared but needing to know what they're dealing with, the uploader attempts to venture down to the basement. They're heard saying hello to the source of the banging.
Hello?
The banging stops. However, a scraping sound follows nearly immediately after, as though whatever's been making the sound was quickly scrambling up the stairs towards the uploader. If you watch it again, it actually sounds like footsteps running up the stairs towards the camera holder.
Oh my god!
The dog continues to bark as the uploader shouts, "Oh my god," just as the clip ends. This series of clips seems to show something seriously wrong with the uploader's home.
Oh my god!
Previously, Sky News was splashed over the internet when they publicised a video that appeared to show a strange glitch. Could the same glitch happen twice? We showed this clip just a few weeks ago, however, we have a bizarre update to report. The original footage we showed depicts a Chancellor as he exits a building with a large red folder tucked beneath his arm. He heads down the street, becoming briefly obscured by the cars parked along the side of the road. A few seconds later, he emerges from behind the cars, still clutching the folder. However, the folder has changed from a deep red colour to a bright green. Some of the viewers believe that the news station deliberately altered the colour of the folder to mislead the public about the state of the country's budget. In terms of finances, the colour red usually indicates declining funds, whereas green has a more positive connotation. It wouldn't be completely unheard of for a news station to manipulate colours in this way. However, many of the viewers are convinced that the sudden change in the folder's appearance is a glitch in the fabric of the universe. In the time since we covered the original clip, new footage has come to light. This footage shows the Chancellor once again standing on the sidewalk with a briefcase that resembles the folder he held in the original video. He holds the briefcase out in front of him and moves it from side to side, displaying it for the awaiting crowds. In some versions of the footage, the briefcase is red. Then in other versions, it's bright green. In still another version, the briefcase starts out green and changes to red as it moves. Is this new footage further proof of camera trickery, or does it indicate that we are in fact living in a simulation? As with the last clip, these freaky videos posted to TikTok by user MattHall36 shows that a figure doesn't have to be supernatural to be terror-inducing. These videos were recorded after hours at the TikTok user's place of business and accompanied by a frantic call to the police. The actual horror one feels for the person in this scenario is real. The first video uploaded is a chilling documentation of the traumatic event. A man is seen outside the building. It's clear that the situation had been progressing before the video was recording. The uploader is already on the phone with the police as this is taking place.
Dragging a bag at my work. No, sorry, I'm just recording in case something happens.
The video shows security camera footage of a man eerily dragging what appears to be a heavy bag down the road.
I can't see his face.
As the man gets closer to the building, it's clear the uploader is terrified.
In case something happens. I can't.
To the uploader's dismay, the man runs up to the building and begins pounding on the door.
See? Oh my f***ing god! He's outside the door.
Clearly distressed and with nowhere to hide, the man begs the police to get there as quickly as possible.
He's like behind the building now. I don't. Can you just get here, please? Really?
Given the popularity of the first chilling video, a second video was posted to the channel in order to explain the context of the creepy event in more detail. The uploader explains that he had been working a night shift when the motion-activated cameras detected someone nearby.
It was pretty late at night and I heard the beep go off, so I went to go look at the camera. Somebody was dragging a bag right beside the building.
Given the man's odd behaviour, the uploader called 911 as the man approached and then started recording the video.
I was pretty creeped out, so I went and grabbed the work phone and called 911. By the time I was on the phone with them, the guy walked up the road a little bit, but then he started to come back towards the building. This is when I started recording.
The man apparently disappeared after the video ended, leaving behind his bag. The police arrived only to discover the bag contained bloody clothes.
And they searched the area for him. They said inside his bag just had a bunch of clothes, but some of the clothes had some blood on them, I guess. Anyways, they're gonna take that in for investigation.
With the man gone and his bag of evidence apparently left behind, it's clear that while this tale is over for the TikTok user, the police investigation has only just begun.
I don't, can you just get here, please, really?
YouTuber Hablemos de Mysterio uploaded this strange encounter at a funeral home. It was allegedly captured by a security guard doing his rounds late at night. In this footage, we see what appears to be the lobby of a large funeral home. The video is taken from a distance, but appears to focus on the entrance, where visitors come into the funeral home. At the far end, there's rows of metal poles used to direct large crowds. As the guard's camera rolls, we can see a metallic glint coming from the other side of the lobby. On closer inspection, we see the silver metal bar of one of the poles moving on its own.
¿Lo ves?
It rocks back and forth. It's quite clear there's nothing around that could be moving the pole. This footage was taken in a funeral home, so some sort of ghostly entity is an obvious culprit. Perhaps the spirit of someone whose funeral was held in this building lingered long after the services ended. The powerful movement of the pole indicates that the spirit's a poltergeist, and a strong one at that. This could suggest the spirit has left this world in significant turmoil or suffering, causing it to linger long after death. According to Slaptown viewer Matt West, something strange is going on in a home in Lumberton, Texas. A friend of his who recently bought the property in question was walking around taking a video. He wanted to show a before and after view of the renovations, but something unexpected showed up on the film. The homeowner starts with a shot of the outdoor pool before heading inside.
It's a big old house.
The light inside the house is dim, creating a lot of shadows where anything could be hiding. As he turns into what appears to be the living room, there seems to be something odd in the darkened doorway on the other side of the room. The camera moves away quickly, but a second later, the strange entity appears again just to the other side of the same doorway. It isn't until viewing the footage later that the homeowner noticed that something was amiss. When looking at the video more closely, the entity appears to be a person moving slowly out of the doorway. According to the legends about this house, years ago a physically handicapped man died in this home when he fell into the outdoor swimming pool and drowned. The home's later residents claim to have spotted a ghost in a wheelchair numerous times while living on the property. If you slow the footage down when the camera swings back towards the doorway, it does indeed look like someone in a wheelchair blurs past the camera. If this video's any indication, it seems that the new owner can also expect visitations from the ghost of a previous resident. Security cameras are a common source of strange videos that appear to defy reality. With more of our lives being caught on camera, it isn't surprising we're finding more evidence that suggests that we are living in a simulation. In this video, which comes from an unknown source, a security camera on the side of a building shows a group of 3 boys walking down a street together. One of the boys lags slightly behind the others. As the trio walks, something happens that makes him fall even further behind. He suddenly freezes in place in the middle of the street. The boy is paused in an awkward position, his legs are frozen mid-step and one of his arms hangs in the air. A close-up of the video shows that shadows crossing his face continue to move even though he's paused, indicating that this isn't likely to be camera trickery. After a few seconds, the boy resumes walking, not seeming to realise anything was amiss. He runs to catch up with his friends, unaware that he may be living in a simulation. This bizarre clip was uploaded to Twitter by user Conspiration ESP. It seems to show a possible glitch in the Matrix. In the footage, we see a bird frozen in midair. Its body is still and its wings aren't flapping, yet it stays in place without anything holding it there. The camera holder pans the shot, showing several onlookers pointing at the bird, clearly stunned at what they're seeing. This piece of information seems to prove that the bird hasn't been placed in the air digitally after the video was shot, as the witnesses are clearly acknowledging the bizarre phenomenon. Curiously, when the footage zooms in, you can actually see some of the feathers on the bird's wing move in the breeze. So the bird isn't completely frozen in time, it has some texture to it that is still in flux. Some commentators believe that the bird might be perched on a very fine cable that doesn't show up on the film. However, the majority of viewers are gobsmacked by the footage and are at a loss to explain what's going on. Could this be evidence that we're living in a simulation? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Posted by Reddit user Eric31, scary ring camera videos have gained a lot of attention in recent years. While some users have a lot to say about camera glitches, others are less convinced by this explanation. Either way, these occurrences are certainly frequent enough to raise some doubts as to what discerning individuals are seeing. In this case, a man is captured by a ring camera. He is nonchalantly walking down the sidewalk in front of this couple's home. However, as soon as he reaches the end of the sidewalk in view of the camera, the man's body seems to slowly disappear until there's nothing left. Where the man once was, only the background provided by the neighborhood remains. Some viewers assert the odd effect to be some sort of video glitch relative to light. While it's certainly plausible for these cameras to glitch, therefore creating odd visuals, that may not necessarily be the case in this instance. If you look closely, the man's body disappears slowly rather than all at once. This leaves the objects behind him clear as day in the video. Rather than distort the entire scene, only the man seems to be tampered with. From a supernatural perspective, one has to wonder what it is they're seeing here exactly. The disappearance of a ghost, or something else entirely. We'll leave that up to you, the viewer, to decide. YouTube channel The Haunted Side Paranormal Investigations is no stranger to scary videos. They frequently share footage of eerie things that investigators spot in their visits to abandoned and haunted places. This video, however, is enough to leave even the most seasoned paranormal aficionados feeling rattled. This investigation takes place at the Cleanwater Demon House in Reno, Nevada, USA. According to the stories surrounding this property, more than a dozen people have met tragic ends in the house. There have been numerous reports of paranormal activity taking place there. The investigators visit the property in hopes of finding evidence of demonic activity.
So let's grab the SLS camera, let's grab the obvious, and let's head in there and just kind of do a walk around and see what's going on.
The investigators use numerous pieces of equipment, including a night vision camera and spirit box. Spirit boxes operate by scanning through radio waves in supposedly haunted places, allowing any entities in the area to make their voices heard using the waves. As the investigators explore the house, the spirit box quickly begins talking.
Ambition.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
Applet. Children.
Applet and children?
Shove.
It says a lot of random words, but one quickly stands out: nail. As the box speaks this word, the investigator looks down and realizes he was inches away from piercing his foot with several large nails.
Nail. Watch.
Oh my God. Look what I almost stepped on.
Chief.
And it said nail watch. And there's all these nails right here. And I stopped because I didn't want to step on it. And it said
Disregard.
nail. Disregard. Threshold. What? That's crazy.
As they keep exploring and the spirit box continues chattering, the investigators locate bones on the floor. Just as they spot the bones, the box states break.
See these bones?
Break. Please. O-I.
Break, please. You said, look at these bones. And then it goes, break, please.
Moments later, one of the men claims to have seen a figure pass the door.
It's got like a weird, very weird layout. What the was that?
What?
Something just went by the door.
Diction. Swim.
Something just went by this.
They then discover strange symbols written on the walls. They ask the spirit what the symbols mean, and it says anti-prey.
What does that mean? Oh, I'm getting bad.
Anti. Pray.
Anti-prey?
The camera begins detecting movement in various places around the room.
Leather.
It's like doing that. Look. Oh, there. Oh, that was somebody.
Yeah,
It was right there too. Like just on the edge of the stair. There they are.
Right.
The investigators decide to explore the second floor. They hear strange, disturbing sounds that resemble footsteps as they continue their exploration.
Star.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah. What the f was that?
What?
I saw another shadow dart that way. I heard a footstep kind of at the top of the stairs right there. Who's in here with us?
A curious shadow figure appears to be following them around the building. At one point, as the crew are walking back into the house, an ominous black shape can be seen standing in the window.
What was that?
What?
I don't think that was a shadow.
However, upon reviewing the footage, seconds later, the shape is gone.
I don't think that was a shadow, but it was on the other side of that window.
A second camera that was simultaneously filming the inside of the house shows that there was no one inside the building when the shadow figure was seen in the window.
I don't think that was a shadow, but it was on the other side of that window.
If you slow the footage down, there is indeed a tall, dark shadow in the window.
That I'd captured probably one of the best shadow figures I've ever seen.
The appearance of the shadow figure is followed by disturbing growling noises, footsteps, and knocks on the walls and ceiling, terrifying the investigators.
What was that? It sounded like grumbling. Like,
Yeah.
What the f?
The motion sensing camera picks up a clear humanoid figure standing nearby.
I don't know what that.
Oh, there it is. There he is.
On the door?
Yep.
It appears to be attempting to close a door, but is unable to do so.
He's trying to... It looks like he's trying to close that door. Or like move that door. Let's see if it maps anything.
Near the end of the investigation, the entity appears to become more powerful. It takes a lot of energy for ghosts to move objects, but it eventually moves a plank of wood during an EVP session in a completely empty room.
Whoa! Dude.
It also knocks over a bike that is leaning against a wall in the empty room.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
It seems the attentions of the investigators have made the spirit stronger or perhaps just bolder.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Posted to Reddit by user Alien, this seems to be one in a series of freaky events occurring in a former hospital turned office building. Providing context for the clip, the uploader explains that this event was far from isolated. With odd occurrences having taken place before the clip was posted, the uploader is sure the office is the scene of some distressing haunting. The uploader first explains that the owner of the building has often imagined the figure of a man standing in the corner of the office, when no one should have been around. Still, the office manager believed he was simply being paranoid rather than the victim of a haunting. It's likely this clip played a part in convincing him otherwise. Roughly a week later, the police were alerted to what would otherwise be considered some sort of break-in or suspicious activity. A door had opened in the building, but when the police arrived, they saw no one around. It wasn't until that event that the surveillance video was checked, revealing this clip. In it, one can clearly see what appears to be the blinds on one door's window opening by themselves. Next, the door slowly begins to creak open with no one around or captured in the video. The odd and careful activity seems to have confirmed the office manager's worst fears, that he was perhaps not truly alone when he pictured the man standing in the corner. He's likely the victim of something much more sinister than a trick of the imagination. In this video, shared to YouTube by Flag on the Play, a bit of news coverage is enough to make many people question whether they are living in a simulation. The video clip comes from a live news broadcast. Reporters watch from the ground as the Pope conducts a prayer for those affected by the pandemic. He stands in a dark window of the Vatican, his bright white clothes illuminated by the sun outside. When he concludes his prayer, he slowly turns and begins to walk away from the window. You would expect to see him gradually fade into the darkness of the room as he walks away from the light of the window. However, something strikingly different happens. The Pope turns away from the window and pauses for a moment. Then he disappears in the blink of an eye, leaving behind only the dark window where he had just been standing. How could such a shocking thing happen in the middle of a live broadcast? Some viewers of the video believe the answer is simple, that the broadcast wasn't really live and we're seeing an awkward cut in the film. However, others have their own theories. Some suggest that it was a glitch in reality, and there are those who believe the Pope is exhibiting terrifying demonic powers. So far, no one can say for sure what caused this bizarre event. Lots of parents use cameras to keep an eye on their children when they aren't around. The footage from these cameras don't usually yield that many scary videos. However, in the case of TikToker Crazy TikTok Sakti, a nanny cam captured something truly terrifying. The camera in question is placed just above an infant's crib. At the start of the video, we can see the baby sleeping fitfully in the darkened room. You might notice throughout the video that there's a dark shadow just outside the child's crib. At first, the blob-shaped shadow doesn't seem unusual. It could easily be a large toy or a pile of clothes resting on the nursery floor. In the dim light from the camera, it's impossible to tell what waits just outside the crib. That is until something about the shadow changes. As the camera rolls, a pair of bright reflective eyes suddenly blink open in the middle of the shadow. The eyes appear as small points of light watching the sleeping child through the bars of the crib. A vapor-like hand even comes through the bars of the crib on the right. The video ends before we can see what happens next. However, the child's tossing and turning could indicate some unsettling energy in the room. Those who have viewed the video believe the creature is most likely a shadow person. These creepy entities typically appear late at night. They can blend into the shadows in the corners of a room or in darkened doorways. Often they only appear for a moment before disappearing, making the witness wonder if they really saw something lurking in the dark. Most shadow people cause no real harm other than terrifying those unlucky enough to spot them. In this case, the baby thankfully doesn't wake up in time to spot the terrifying creature. Posted to the Bitch Instagram page, this video seems to, quite literally, show a glitch in the Matrix. Captured outside, the video shows a point in the sky where the inexplicable is occurring. In the middle of the air, surrounded by palm trees, a strange object seems to be floating. It looks to be a palm frond frozen in space and time. It almost looks like we're seeing a glitched simulation. Half the elements in the video seem to make sense, but it looks like the palm frond's been copied and pasted to the wrong part of the sky. The video zooms into the weird object, showing that it isn't simply a doctored photograph. Some commenters thought perhaps there was a thin power line or piece of string holding the palm leaf up. While viewers may not be certain to what exactly is happening in this video, freaky videos like these certainly lend credence to the idea that we might actually be living in a simulation after all. A pub should be a place to relax and unwind after a long day. Unfortunately, for the patrons of Barney Mac's bar in Drogheda, County Louth Island, their time at this bar isn't always peaceful. The bar was a regular haunt of a man named Joe Murphy for years. Not long ago, the regular unfortunately passed away. However, the staff at the bar believe he still occasionally comes to visit. In this footage, recorded by the bar's CCTV system, we see a pint of beer on a table in front of a guest. One of the patrons stands up, and while he's not looking, the pint glass explodes, sending beer and shards of glass all over the table. After the explosion, the patrons simply stare at the broken glass, flabbergasted. According to the staff, this isn't an unusual occurrence. Ever since the passing of Joe Murphy, exploding pints have been an occasional problem. Those who work there have gotten used to the strange emergences of their late customer, but it still terrifies customers who aren't used to Joe's shenanigans. In the hustle and bustle of a busy city, it's unusual to see people standing completely still, let alone frozen in what looks like a breakdancing posture. However, if we're living in a simulation, anything is possible. This video by YouTuber Breakman proves just that. As the car travels down the street, the occupants notice something quite odd and take out a camera to record the phenomenon. On the side of the road, the clip shows a man who appears to be in the middle of a breakdance move. One of his shoulders is on the ground, his head bent at an awkward angle, and his legs sticking up in the air. It isn't unusual for breakdancers to hold such a position for a second or two. However, this man remains in the bizarre pose for the entirety of the video. It's as if he's been frozen in the middle of a street performance. The occupants of the car record him as they pass by. He remains entirely still. We don't even see slight twitching or shaking that we'd expect if a man were holding himself in such a strenuous position. To many, this footage is irrefutable proof that we're living in a simulation. They believe that the man in the video was somehow paused, causing him to remain in his posture much longer than should have been physically possible. Is this a feat of superhuman strength or a bizarre glitch in reality? Either way, there's something highly unnatural happening in this footage. Tweeted by user Conspiration ESP, this video begs the same question: is this real or fake? The footage is being captured from an aircraft in the sky. It's clear the original uploader began recording as they sensed something wrong with the aircraft opposite them. An object is first spotted flying on nearly the same level as this aircraft in the opposite direction. Coming closer, the flying object appears to be nothing like any aircraft seen before. Boxy yet flat, the craft instantly looks more like something out of a sci-fi movie than a commercial or army aircraft. What's more, the object appears to adjust its course quickly once it realizes it's closing in on the aircraft this video was recorded in. Dipping down beneath the cloud cover, it's clear that whatever craft this was didn't want to be seen too closely. The mystery of the odd aircraft may never see a conclusion. This leaves viewers and UFO enthusiasts to wonder just what exactly was seen that day. Most people who get arrested fear being alone in a jail cell. According to this footage from Paranormal Activity World, there might be something very different to fear. In this video, we see a man behind bars in a maximum security cell. He's standing alone in solitary confinement looking through the bars. When the man in the cell takes a small step to the side, things get really bizarre. When the prisoner steps to the side, he no longer seems to be alone in his cell. With his body out of the way, we see a bizarre shadow figure lurking just behind him. The shape is terrifying. It almost appears to be part human, part arachnid. It has a human head, but seems to move on a set of spindly legs, staying down near the floor. The shadow quickly disappears, stepping back behind the man after he moves. Clearly, this entity has some attachment to this unfortunate prisoner, using him to hide from other prying eyes. Imagine being trapped behind bars all alone when you realise there may be a shadow person sharing the cell with you. The last of these freaky clips, posted to Facebook by user Kayleen Bowman, is just as inexplicable as some of the others. What's been dubbed a glitch in the simulation, viewers are left to come to their own conclusion. Seen floating in mid-air appears to be a dark object. The object seems to be suspended from nowhere with no wires or structures nearby. On closer inspection, it appears to be a bird frozen in place mid-air. A still photo was also taken so we can get a better, more focused look. Floating in the air and completely still, the object almost seems to be levitating as if by magic. Either it's something supernatural and mysterious, or the aforementioned glitch in the Matrix. The clip is nevertheless enough to shake even the most die-hard skeptics. So what do you think's going on in this clip? Is it just a bird suspended on some thin, unseen wire, or is it truly a glitch in the Matrix? Love to hear your opinions on this one in the comments section below. Not all weird footage involves ghostly visits from other worlds or unexplained phenomena from the skies. The strangest videos of all are sometimes the ones that capture something from the natural world all around us. This piece of weird footage from Indonesia that was supposed to showcase some family-friendly entertainment went viral for all the wrong reasons. Twitter user @Patia shared some disturbing footage of a monkey on a motorbike attempting to snatch a toddler. The footage was also shared by a number of news outlets around the world.
Hey.
The monkey in the video speeds down a walkway on a tiny bike. It appears to be a happy scene until the monkey gets to a bench where a group of children are sitting. The monkey hops off the bike and lunges at a toddler without warning. The monkey then pulls the toddler down to the ground before attempting to drag it away with extreme strength. The stunned child is pulled along for a second before breaking free. The scene is both bizarre and disturbing. Fortunately, it's been reported that the toddler in the video is just fine. The monkey is apparently part of an entertainment group in Indonesia. However, this clearly isn't the type of entertainment its handlers were going for.
Hey, mas. Hey.
The last of these freaky videos was posted to the Ring website itself. Seemingly just an average security video, the anomaly in this video is subtle and easily missed. However, closer viewings reveal a small light visible near the home's driveway at the beginning of the video. The light zips right down the sidewalk to the street, where it seems to almost materialize as a figure on the road. Eerie and unsettling, repeated viewings do nothing to calm the nagging idea at the back of one's mind that whatever it is they're seeing is not quite natural. When the figure reaches the end of the sidewalk and hits the road, it appears to materialize into another form entirely. A trick of the mind or a trick of an otherworldly spirit? That's clearly up to the viewer to decide, as it seems unlikely a follow-up to this odd video will ever be posted. However, videos like this do a good job raising speculation as to whether or not any of these open-ended Ring camera videos will ever get the proper investigation they deserve, or if they'll be blamed on camera glitches forevermore. Now, if you like our longer compilation videos, there's another one on the top there for you. Otherwise, you can binge on our paranormal playlist right there. Now in the comment section below, let us know which was the scariest clip of 2020 for you. I also want to just thank you, the audience, for the amazing year we've had. We've received so much support. I hope you have a festive holiday period and a happy new year. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time.